Have you ever stared at an empty space in your room for a while, but then it feels as if it actually isn't empty? Like, your mind starts filling the emptiness on its own with a visual grain and sounds that feel like they're getting louder and louder. That was the feeling I had when a world finished loading. It looked empty, but it didn't feel that way. I spawned into a flat, snow-covered landscape with no clear direction or objective. I started exploring the world with regular commentary because I thought it would make for a fun video, but throughout this playthrough, I would get books with messages written in @bash, which is an inverted alphabet warning me that I wouldn't escape. I was confused, but continued to play this world. However, something was off. I had the constant feeling as if something was looking at me while I could barely see what's in front of me, constantly being scared that something could attack me at any point, until it finally did. From that point on, the world became increasingly hostile. Like messages appearing in chat from me that I actually didn't send, the game would remove my player model entirely as if I didn't exist, and I would occasionally be attacked by a creature I knew nothing about. The only positive in this world seemed to be the author of the books I kept finding. Through them, I was told that this world wasn't a place, it was his mind. That I was inside a dream he couldn't wake up from, and that whatever was attacking me was his nightmare. He told me that if I could find a way out of the dream, he would finally wake up, and that escaping this dimension was the only way to do so. So I started looking for anything that felt like an exit. Eventually, I realized that I could build a portal using the obsidian I had previously found and the lava in a nearby village to light it. I was convinced that this was the way out. This had to be it. But it turned out that it wasn't. It was a trap. I was lied to by the author. In his last book he left me, he wrote that he needed to disarm his only threat, me. I have to find a way out, and the first thing that comes to my mind is to break the iron bars and jump out. But somehow my spawn has been set in this prison cell. I tried breaking and then sleeping in a bed, but nothing happened, even though this is the nether where beds are supposed to explode. That left me out of ideas. We are stuck in a nether, or at least a dimension that looks like the nether, with seemingly no way out. I looked around me, and the only things I had were a book, a bed, and a chest. The only thing I hadn't broken yet was the chest, so I did. The block underneath it seemed to be cracked, but why? I tried breaking the block and discovered something weird. There was a white block underneath it, but I don't recall seeing that block when I was falling into the void earlier. I did not know what to do, and I didn't have much choice, so I stepped on it, only to find out that it was my way out of the prison cell and into another dimension that looked completely white. I did not know what was going on. What is this place? Was I actually in someone's dream? Because it surely felt like one. How do I even get out? And is that nightmare still after me? I had countless questions, but no answers. I had no choice other than to explore this place, so I did, until I found this. A humanoid that isn't moving whatsoever. I had no idea why it was here or why it wasn't moving. I tried inspecting it up closer, but then it disappeared. It reminded me of the creature that would occasionally attack me in the first dimension, but this one didn't move an inch. And why was it there? Maybe it meant that I was getting closer to something, or it wanted to attack me but couldn't. Either way, I had to continue figuring out where I was, and more importantly, how to get out of here. I kept exploring until I found it again, and I approached it, but just like last time, it disappeared. But this time, there was a book on the ground. I walked towards it, picked up the book, and placement. Without knowing what that meant, I opened the book and I have no idea what I'm looking at. There are squares with an outlier. Is this another cipher I have to decode? If so, I don't even know where to begin. There are 12 pages, and each page is filled with squares and one outlier. What I do notice is that all of them are in the first two lines, and the title says placement, so that might mean that I have to count the placement of each odd square. 9, 3, 1, 14, 22, 18, 5, 1, 28, 5. Okay, that looks like numbers we can bind letters to, which would make I can't breathe. Good, well, that tells me a lot. I haven't even made any progress. Maybe this message would come in handy some other time. I continued to travel and then found it again, but this time he was inside of a cave. As per usual, he disappeared, and I decided to go deeper into the cave since he could be leading me somewhere. A tunnel that doesn't look like it has an end. I enter the tunnel and keep walking for a while until I stumble upon another entrance. An entrance to nothing. I decide to walk back and see that the same dark creature is standing at the end of the tunnel looking back at me. This feels like a trap of some kind, like it lured me into this tunnel. But why? I decide to walk up to it and this time isn't any different. He disappears. I do not know where to go now. Do I go back into the tunnel or get out? I decided to go down there one last time, but this time I see a white creature, and this one does not disappear. Instead, it starts talking to me in ciphered messages. It seems to be Atbash again, so after deciphering it, it says, "Everything I told you is true. I am the author, I am asleep, and I cannot wake myself. The nightmare tried deceiving you into thinking we are one, but we are not. The dark creature you have encountered earlier is the nightmare, but it has no control in this section of the dream. Authority here, and only here, is mine." So my theory from earlier was true. It wants to attack me, but it can't. That's why it keeps following me around and disappears as soon as I get closer to it. But he also sent a second message, and this one says, "You must go only one way. The way all paths are named by where it leads. There you will find the way out." It says I must only go one way, but it doesn't tell me which way. This message kind of feels like a riddle, a very short one, but still some kind of riddle. The way all paths are named. It has to mean the direction used as the baseline on compasses. So the direction must be north, since that's the baseline. At least, I think that's what it means. I slowly made my way out of the cave and located where north is. Okay, so north should be this way. I kept walking in one direction for a while, and I almost decided to quit, until I saw this. I walked around it, and I had no idea what this is. I could only hope that I would find an entrance or anything else, but I had no success. I don't really know what to do now. I suppose this is what I had to find, because there's literally nothing else in this world. Besides, ice is the only block that isn't white or black concrete, so it only made sense that I had to find this. I was left confused. But then another chat message appeared. When deciphered, it says, "You must go inside." There was no entrance. Where do I even go inside? The only way I could think of is by mining through the ice, so I did. This ice spike was huge. I didn't even know where I was mining towards. What if I would miss where I had to be and instead would end up on the other side? But I didn't. I found a secret room with the same white creature in the center of it. The room looked like it was a sphere, mixed with black and white and ice blocks. And a creature was standing on a floating block with an endless hole underneath it. And it happened again. The white creatures send multiple messages in chat. This time they say your only escape lies within the heart of the nightmare. Find it and destroy it. End this everlasting dream to wake me up and set yourself free. To travel to the lair of the nightmare, you must surrender to a freefall. I will equip you with the means to escape, but you only have one chance. Do not waste it. So if I understand this correctly, it's sending us to where the nightmare is active and has control. Whether it's the prison cell or the snow dimension, I don't really feel safe going to either. I suppose I have no other choice. I mean, I barely have any control anywhere. So here we go, I guess. Okay, we made it back to where it all started. The snow dimension. The place where the nightmare has full control again. I also have a bow and one arrow in my inventory. I guess that's how I have to kill it. I only have one objective. Find him and don't die before I get the chance to take the shot. The last time I was in this dimension, he did not even get close to killing me, but instead, he was trying to scare me. But since I escaped from his prison and saw him in his vulnerable state, I don't think he'll be as forgiving this time. And honestly, why else would I be here? He knows why I came back. I walked in a straight line for what felt like forever, not seeing anything, not even abandoned villages that I'd stumbled upon before. It felt different. I was not being attacked, or did any of the previous anomalies appear, such as chat messages or my skin disappearing. I was not going to give up, if that's what the nightmare wishes for. He can hide all he wants, but then he appeared. I have to shoot him now before he does anything. Stop. If you shoot, all of us will cease to exist. You will not make it out alive. Not like this. I have no choice. This is my only way out of this dream. Besides, I can't trust this thing. I don't think I have a choice. I have to get out of here. Wait, what? What happened? Where is it? Why are the blocks falling too? Somehow, I got out of the dream. Here, there was no author and no nightmare anymore. It was only me and a world with no anomalies that tried to hunt me. A normal world with life where I'm completely free. So let's get some wood and finally get started.